Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another episode of The Yakking Show. And this is the show where we bring you expert guests to talk about all matters concerning holistic health and leading a better life. But first, let's introduce co-host Kathleen. Hi, Kathleen. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you so much. The sun is shining. It feels wonderful. Thank you also very much for tuning in to our show. We so appreciate having you. And as Peter mentioned, we have another special guest with us today. We are so privileged to welcome Logan Wright. And I have to say, no relation to our esteemed co-host here, right?
Not that we know of.
No, that's
Yeah,
true. Well, Logan, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Now, Logan is the founder and CEO of Greco Gum. The Greco Gum is a mastic gum which is made from a tree grown on the Greek island of Chios. And today, Logan is here to yak with us about the health benefits of this gum. So I'm intrigued. I really am. So tell us, Logan, what is the difference between a mastic gum and just an ordinary chewing gum?
The difference between mastic gum and regular gum is really comes down to the ingredients.
Okay.
Mastic gum is a single ingredient product. It's made entirely of crystallized sap from the mastic tree, and that's it. There's nothing done to it. There's no processing or additives or any flavors added after the fact. Compared to conventional chewing gum, if you
Mhm.
look at the back, you'll see, 15, 20 plus ingredients. Most of them are completely unrecognizable. You don't even know what they are. And so all of these chemicals that are in conventional chewing gums, um, they're really just designed to mimic the chewy texture that naturally occurs in tree sap. But it's a lot cheaper and easier for these manufacturers to scale when they can mass produce an imitation product. And so that's why you see this laundry list of ingredients. And then, of course, all of the artificial flavorings and sweeteners and colors as well. That's really what the difference is one is fake and one is real.
Hmm.
okay. So I've got a tin of your gum here. Let me show everybody what it looks like. That's a picture of the gum, Greco gum. And if I take out one of the nuggets, I think you call them nuggets. I don't know if you can see that. So that little nugget that I've got there, Logan, that is the crystallized gum, and that's all it is, right?
Exactly. So that gum will be harvested from the tree. So the tree is scored, and then the sap slowly seeps out, and then it'll fall to the ground and harden, and then it's collected and cleaned and sorted, and it turns into that pebble-like thing that you're holding now.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. Wow. And so the tree is called a mastic tree, is it?
Correct. And the tree is quite unique because although the tree grows in a couple different regions in the Mediterranean, it's only on the island of Chios where the tree produces this chewable resin.
Oh,
And
right.
nobody really knows why for sure. There are a few different theories, something about the soil formation due to underwater volcanic activity. There's a couple of others as well, but really nobody can explain why it only grows on this tree on this island. And so it's very special in that regard. And um, because it only grows there, the actual quantity that's available each year for harvest, of course, is can vary widely. Um, it actually takes 7 years of growth for the tree before it can even begin to produce this resin. So it's a very scarce and limited commodity.
Very interesting. Wow. So tell us about the benefits of chewing a mastic gum.
hmm So more things that are unique about mastic gum is just its profile. It is antibacterial, it's antimicrobial, it's anti-inflammatory, and it's filled with antioxidants. So there's a number of different health benefits that you can get just from chewing this gum.
Mm,
Um, the most potent, I would say, is for your gut health. And because of that anti-inflammatory properties, it is really effective at soothing digestive issues. So if you suffer from heartburn, or ulcers or H. pylori, it's really potent at giving you relief for anything
Right.
that is ailing your stomach.
Wow,
That's
even
interesting.
H. pylori.
Mm.
That's huge.
It is huge. And that's one of the most common things that we do hear from our customers is that, they've tried so many different things and they could never get any relief. Um, but then they chewed our gum and all of a sudden, suddenly it's not bothering them nearly as much. And that's also because of its antibacterial nature. And so
Hmm.
H. pylori is a bacterial infection, and the antibacterial nature of the gum
Mhm.
um, gets the bad bacteria out and replaces it with the good bacteria. And the same benefits also apply to a lot of the things that happens in your mouth as well. So bad breath, plaque buildup, and the chewing of the mastic also encourages more saliva production. And so saliva, of course, is what washes away and cleans and remineralizes your teeth. So you're really covering yourself, from top to bottom when you're chewing the gum.
So when you go to the dentist and they take a, swabbing of your mouth to see how much bacteria you have, this gum can actually kill off the bacteria that's in your mouth.
Well, so it's not eliminating all of the bacteria. It's really just um, subduing it. It's not like you have to worry about, when you take antibiotics, it's good and bad. And the bad is that it,
Sure.
it kills everything, right? And then you're kind of resetting and starting over.
Right.
This isn't the case. It's not like Listerine where it kills
Hmm.
all bacteria. And actually, most dentists will tell you not to use mouthwash because you don't want to kill bacteria. Bacteria is good. It's not good or bad. It's just context dependent.
Hmm.
Right. Hmm. So people that have like dental issues like gingivitis, gum infections and inflammation and all of that, can that help soothe these symptoms?
I wouldn't say this would be an effective tool, to relieve those things. I mean, certainly it's complementary and it will help provide some relief. But if you're suffering from things like gingivitis or plaque buildup, I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt to add chewing mastic in because um, it really increases the amount of saliva that your mouth produces. And that is your body's natural way of cleaning your mouth. So with things like plaque buildup or gingivitis, the more saliva that you have going on, the better off you're going to be. So I would say mastic indirectly helps with those things just because of the saliva byproduct,
Hmm.
the increased production of saliva.
Hmm,
Okay.
interesting.
Wow.
Peter?
Very good. Wow. So are there other types of mastic gums?
No, there aren't. Because it's really just a single ingredient product.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't really alter, or we don't want to do anything to it. We think it's perfectly fine just the way it is. We're not trying to do any type of processing or additives because there's no need to. Also, it's very unusual in its texture and its form. Um, you can't really alter its shape too much. It's very limited in that. It is what it is.
Now, Peter, can you hold up a piece of that gum again? Because
Sure.
I'd like to ask a question. So, um, I haven't had the opportunity to taste it yet or to chew on it yet. But when you put it in your mouth, because it's solid, right? Right now, it looks
Yeah.
like a hard
It's hard.
substance.
Mhm.
So, as soon as you put it in your mouth, it softens up almost to the consistency of a chewing gum. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different process.
Yeah.
So it is some of these pieces are like hard as a rock. Once they go into your mouth and the saliva will react with it and they
Mhm.
will soften up. And then after you chew it for a couple of seconds, then it forms into, a typical gum that you would have with any other type of chewing gum. It just takes a couple of seconds in your mouth to soften up and come into form.
So I know that you've addressed digestive and issues and how it can help soothe H. pylori and the digestive tract, but On the flip side of that, Logan, and maybe you can comment on this, is that I've heard that people shouldn't be chewing gum on a regular basis because it just causes the digestive tract to be working continuously, doesn't give it a break, so to speak. So what do you say to that?
I would say there is some truth to that. I mean, when you are chewing gum, you are playing a little bit of a trick on your body because it thinks that it's going to be getting food soon, so your stomach will start producing these enzymes. You'll start producing more saliva because chewing, of course, is the first part of the digestive process. So
Right.
um, it's not like it's a huge toll or load that's being taken on your body if you're just chewing gum. Like
Mhm.
your body, your stomach will understand that the food is not coming and it will adapt and adjust. But I also wouldn't recommend people chew gum for, hours and hours at a time either. Like we always recommend, 1 to 2 hours. That's plenty, especially with our gum because the texture is so much tougher
Hmm.
than regular chewing gum. It's a pretty tall order for your jaw muscles as well to chew for that long. So I wouldn't recommend chewing gum continuously, but I also wouldn't worry about it doing any harm either because your body will recognize that the food isn't coming. And a lot of people do like to chew gum for a long time because it does help suppress their appetite and it
Mhm.
helps with fasting and things like that. As long as you're chewing a gum that is actually free of any calories.
Right. So I guess if for those of us, Peter, I guess that practice intermittent fasting, so we have a later breakfast, if you will, early lunch, late breakfast. So if we were to chew on your mastic gum, perhaps it would just curb those cravings or the hunger pangs because you're
Absolutely.
okay. Oh,
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, and the gum it's sugar free, calorie free, so you don't have to worry about breaking your fast.
Hmm.
But it definitely is effective at that. I use it all the time to help me get through those last couple of hours where I'm fasting, where you just want something. It doesn't
Yeah.
even matter what it is, but it's kind of like it's like a fidget toy for your mouth, right?
Hmm.
It's just
Right.
something for you to keep your mouth busy with.
Right. Oh,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm fortunate that it doesn't worry me. I get through to my midday. I have supper before 6 in the evening, and then I don't eat again until midday the next day. So that's what's that, about 18 hours, I think, window. And it took a bit of getting used to, but no, I'm good with it. So anyway, but I will say, not that I've ever been a great chewing gum um, user myself. In my generation, growing up in a very British conservative environment in Africa, chewing gum was sort of frowned upon. A lot of parents would not let their kids eat chewing gum. It was seen as a dirty American habit from, the movies and
is that right?
honestly, oh yeah, oh yeah. And bubble gum even worse because it used to end up on the sidewalk and whatever. So we were dissuaded from chewing gum, and I never really got into the habit. But it is from the little bit I can remember of chewing gum. This one is as Logan says, it's quite a lot tougher to start chewing until it softens up. You've got to work quite hard at it, especially me with dentures. It's not quite as easy as people with a full set of teeth. So. But anyway, it's very interesting the benefits that it does. So that's good to hear. What do you ship all over the world?
Yes, we do. Worldwide, all of our orders are fulfilled from the USA. So if you live in North America, we have the fastest shipping of any mastic gum in the world. We're confident on that.
And what's the reason for the tin? I mean, I like it. I think it's a lovely, lovely packaging. Is it to protect the product more?
It speaks to our larger goal, which is we don't want to have any plastic involved in
Hmm.
our product whatsoever. Most, I would say 99.9% of chewing gums contain some form of plastics or plasticizers or some kind of synthetic material like that they use as their gum base. And so the whole initial idea behind this gum is we don't want to be chewing on plastic gum because we don't want to be chewing on plastic. And so The gum itself, of course, does not contain any plastic, but we don't want any of the packaging to contain any plastic either, because that would just go against our values as a company.
Right. Now, I'm curious, Logan, how did this all come about for you? How did you embark on this particular venture?
Well, it initially started just when I started taking my own health more seriously and being more careful about the things that I was consuming and the everyday products that I was using. And once you start going down that path, you start to realize, oh, it's even this most mundane, everyday things that you would never think of. There's a good version or there's a bad version out there. And so you start replacing everything in your house and your life. And then eventually you start to look at your chewing gum. And I like to chew gum when I'm in the gym. And so then I started looking at, okay, what are the non-plastic gums that are out there? And the options are pretty limited. And so eventually I was able to come across Mastic, and then I started researching more into the benefits and the history and everything related to Mastic. And so I was able to source some Mastic directly from the island from one of the growers there. And I was hooked right away. And so I knew that if I loved it, then there's probably other people out there who would love it as well. They just don't know about it because, I mean, you have to go down some pretty serious rabbit holes, or at least, you
Mhm.
had to a few years ago. It's definitely gotten a lot more popular recently. But, 5 or 6 years ago, when I first started the business, it was a very, very niche
Right.
product.
Now, you wouldn't swallow this product after you finish chewing it. You
Well,
probably
you absolutely can.
can.
In
Okay.
fact, mastic is a pretty common culinary ingredient in Greece. It's in a lot of liqueurs or desserts as a sweetener. So there's no harm whatsoever in swallowing it. Um, I personally will just chew it until it begins to break down, and then, basically you're just swallowing it anyways. But yeah, it's perfectly edible.
Fantastic. How did you?
It's not like the bubble gums where they say it stays in your stomach for 7 years or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I haven't chewed them that far yet. I've chewed it until my jaws have got tired and then given it a break.
Well, Logan, how do people contact you?
The best way to get in touch with us is through our website, grecogum.com,
Okay.
or they can reach out to us by email, info@grecogum.com. They can
Okay.
also reach out to us on Instagram or our X page as well.
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. Well,
Oh,
thank you
sure.
so much for being on our show today. This is kind of interesting. I'd never heard of Greco Gum before, so we
No,
will
yeah,
My pleasure.
and thank you for sending us a sample to try. As soon as I get together with Kathleen, I'll hand over some to her, and she can give it a go.
I
So
would appreciate that,
appreciate that.
Peter. And
Yeah.
so they can just buy this off your website, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Logan. And thank you also very much for tuning in to our show. We so appreciated having you. And until next time, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.